Hey guys! Today I have a DIY for these very dainty and minimal bead chokers. I'll be showing a black bead version which has some 90s vibes, and also a pearl version which is a little more fancy looking and kind of reminds me of the show Scream Queens. So let's get started. Here's what you will need. Some beads of your choice. I have some faux pearl beads and I recommend that they are 5mm in size. I also have some round black beads which are about 4mm. Next you'll need some 2mm tube crimp ends with clasps and extender chains. Pins aren't necessary and I didn't end up using them, but they are handy for dotting on the glue if you need them. Some small needle nose pliers, a ruler or a measuring tape, 5mm thick clear fishing line or craft thread, whatever you like to call it, a glue gun with glue, which isn't an essential item for this DIY, it just makes some of the steps a little easier, as you'll see later on. Some basic clear super glue. This one actually ran out, so I ended up using these mini tubes here, but any brand will work the same. And lastly, a pair of scissors. All these tools and materials, including links to where I bought mine, will be in the video description below, so please be sure to read the entire list before asking in the comments. To start out, I'm measuring my piece of clear thread and cutting off a piece about 34 to 35 centimeters long. You can adjust this length according to whatever fits you best. Either way, be sure to add extra like I did to allow for any mistakes, and remember it will have an extender chain attached when it's done. Now I'm just taping down one end of my piece of clear thread to secure it to my table. I'm going to use the black beads to demonstrate the method for this DIY because they're a little easier to see against my white table. And there I go, spilling them all as usual. Slide your first bead onto your thread until it reaches the end where you've taped it down. Pull your bead back a little bit and then place a small dot of super glue onto the thread. Now push the bead onto the super glue and give it a few taps, even spin it around a tiny bit just to make sure that the glue is making contact with both the inside of the bead and the thread. If you didn't quite catch how I did that, don't worry, we're going to zoom in closer now. I'm placing another small piece of tape up under the thread to protect my table from the glue. This is actually the second choker I had made at this point, so I'm just reusing my tape from previously. Once again, slide a bead onto your thread. Now we have to start spacing the beads evenly, so I suggest making them about 13mm apart. Pull your bead back and place your dot of glue in the area where you want the bead to sit and push your bead onto the glue. Now continue to repeat these steps until you reach the end of your thread. You totally don't need to measure the distance between the beads every single time. Feel free to just eyeball it like I did. So now we have finished with the beads, we can attach the clasp. Cut off any excess length of one of the ends so you have about 7mm of thread left, which is where we will attach the clasp. I just realized I'm making a snipping motion with my fingers as I'm recording this, but you guys can't even see it at all. Don't cut off any beads like I did though. You'll want to keep those on because you can always cut it again and start over if you make any mistakes attaching the clasp. Now, like I said earlier, you don't need a glue gun for this, but if you do have one, just place a small amount of glue on the end where you just cut your thread, and super quickly while your glue is still hot, push the tube part of the clasp onto it as far as it will go. Right away, you can secure this by crimping the tube with your pliers. Repeat these steps for the other end of your clasp, And if you don't have a hot glue gun for this part, you should be fine just with your super glue. Just be sure to let the glue set for a few minutes before you try to crimp it. I tried this without letting it set and the clasp just was slipping all over the place. I couldn't even get my pliers around it. And voila, the choker is complete. Here is the pearl version as well, of course, which I think might be my favorite. I read that the technical name for this type of necklace is a floating necklace because the thread is invisible. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more DIY videos, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up to let me know, and I'll see you next time.